Just wrapping up an outstanding fireworks show on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio. And as tenants here at KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM, and Cumulus Media, we were happy to be partnered with the city of Overland Park on this outstanding event. I'm Pete Mundo, morning show host on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio. If you're getting in your car, you're heading home from the fireworks show, we appreciate you coming out tonight, and we are happy to welcome on a guy you saw tonight, Curt Skoog, the mayor of Overland Park. Mr. Mayor, outstanding show this evening. We always love being here at Corporate Woods, and thanks for joining us on 95.7 FM KCMO.
Just another great celebration of our nation's birthday, and thank you to you and Cumulus for supporting this important community event.
Well, take me through, Mr. Mayor, putting one of these on. I know you've got a whole team, and we've dealt with them for the last several weeks that have put on this show. But what is having this show in your, I guess you would call it, premier business location in Overland Park, having it here, having the community around? What does this mean to Overland Park to do this show here at Corporate Woods?
Well, we'd love to show off Overland Park to our residents as well as to all of our friends around the Kansas City region. And where we hold it, right, is right in the center of Corporate Woods, in one of our parks that's on our trails along our greenway. Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to see the office buildings, the great office buildings we have, and experience nature all at the same time.
Well, how about these office buildings right here for Cumulus Media? I know you've been pretty impressed by these.
I did. Thank you for the tour, and I'm impressed with the technology and infrastructure it takes to run a radio station.
Well, I will say, we've got 6 stations here, and, it has been great to be here in Corporate Woods and in Overland Park. We were in Mission, as many people know, for years, for decades, and made this move back in 2020. And listen, I think embracing all that Corporate Woods has to offer, I know there's always improvements to be made, but the tree line, the views, the walking around Corporate Woods, it really is very unique and was certainly visionary for its time.
It was, right? The first buildings were built in the 1970s as American businesses were looking to expand outside of urban cores on our great new interstate system. Mm-hmm. 435 here, and of course, the city of Overland Park built College Boulevard to bound it. 300-acre business park. It's really a gem in Overland Park. What's amazing right now is we just finished our comprehensive plan update called Framework OP. And if you're interested out there, you can see it at frameworkop.com.
Okay.
And it was driven by the community. And what it's talked about is College Boulevard. One of the pieces of it is our economic engine, which is College Boulevard. Mm-hmm. As you know, Pete, Overland Park, our industry is office space. Mm-hmm. We're not a manufacturing town. Yep. We're not a warehouse town, right? Mm-hmm. We are an office town, and College Boulevard is our industry. And what we have is a bunch of incredible office spaces, but they're all independent by themselves as they were developed in suburbia in the 80s and 90s.
Curt Skoog, the mayor of Overland Park, Kansas, joining me, Pete Mundo, on 95.7 FM KCMO after the fireworks show here out at Corporate Woods. So Framework OP, how does that change with the way the job market is changing in Overland Park?
Exactly. That's what this whole conversation in the community and the business world has been about, is how do we continue to attract talented people to work at our companies, no matter if they live in Overland Park or in the greater Kansas City area. Mm-hmm. And what it is, when I started my career, I'll show my age a little bit. I parked my car in the parking lot, and I went up and sat in a cubicle for 8 hours. Mm-hmm. We'd go get a cup of coffee or water at the water dispenser.
Yeah.
And then you leave, right? Today, younger folks are looking for a different experience, right? They want collaborative spaces, right? With technology, they're not locked down to one place. They want to be able to move around and interact with coworkers and meet their friends for coffee before work, go throw axes after work, whatever the common social activity is, and be able to live nearby for certain phases of their career. And so we have the office space on College Boulevard. And what Framework OP talks about is bringing the living and the retail or the entertainment to the corridor as well, so that we can have a live, work, play environment that will attract workers back to the office, as well as attract talented people here. And Pete, hopefully my kids and grandkids choose to stay in Overland Park instead of going to Nashville or to Denver or to Chicago or other places that are calling as well.
So right now, you drive up and down College, and just a lot of that, one-story or maybe 2 or 3-story kind of buildings. Do you foresee more mixed-use developments along College? Is that more or less the future that you're talking about? Is that part of the equation?
It is. And so we required these buildings to put in huge parking lots, right?
Yeah.
Right, because in the day, they needed all of that parking space. And so we have land available for additional development. And so, on College Boulevard, we're not next to many single-family neighborhoods, right? It's more of a commercial corridor. And so bringing that live and work and play together is really what we see the future success of College Boulevard. In addition, right, College Boulevard is a wide thoroughfare. It's adjacent to 435 and 69. So getting people in and out is easy and has less effect on the rest of our road network across the city.
You don't see any way that College is any wider than it is now, do you? Or is that a long-term vision?
No, I don't think it'll get any wider. I think, but what we do need to bring is mobility options.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another piece of the comprehensive plan. The community was very clear is that, today we're an auto-centric, a car-centric community. And we will most likely always be. But we need to make space for walking and biking along the corridor as well. And so we've been spending a lot of time, how do we bring those mobility options, walking and biking, to the corridor in a way that feels safe and comfortable, not only to the people walking and on bikes, but to those in vehicles as well.
So framework OP, the obviously College is the main focus. What else is in that framework? What else is part of that vision as you look to the future of this community?
Yeah, so College Boulevard is just one piece. It's a citywide vision of what we want to do to the future. And the goal areas are, one, safe and healthy neighborhoods, of course. That's our earmark here in Overland Park. A high quality of life, again, another important component to Overland Park's success. Infrastructure and mobility, right? We're now 64 years old as a city, and some of our streets and infrastructure are older than that. Just like I grew up in an old Victorian house built in the 1880s, the older something gets, the more time it takes to maintain it and keep it up to speed and replace it. So we're, as a city, we're very focused on maintaining our streets and infrastructure to do that. Government accountability. Our goal is to continue to improve our transparency with the community, and we keep moving forward with that. And then economic well-being, which is when we talk about College Boulevard, is that we have incredible neighborhoods, we have incredible schools, but those are both possible because we have high-quality jobs, right? We have to be able to pay for the schools. So you have to have a good income, right? And you have to be able to afford housing. Again, it's all based on having good quality jobs. And then finishing out is housing. That was a big topic of the whole process. We have a housing shortage in Overland Park and Johnson County, Kansas City, most of the country. And we need to build more housing. And the plan talks about housing of all types and all price points.
Well, obviously that was a big issue during the mayoral race. It's been a big issue during your tenure in office. So what is that? And we talked a lot about it, but it's been a little bit. So what is that blend? I mean, obviously mixed use is part of it, apartments, single-family homes. We know there's high demand for that amongst millennials trying to get their first homes. We know the prices keep skyrocketing. That's a good thing for Overland Park to be desirable, but it also makes it tough for entry. So how do you blend all this together to make it work?
Right. Well, so the main driver behind the increase in appraised value and house prices is there's a shortage.
Yeah, and it's nationwide, in fairness, right? It's not
there's
unique.
A shortage of housing. And so this plan is very focused on how we build different types of housing. So in Overland Park last year, the average square foot of a single-family house was 5,000 square feet.
5,000 square feet.
which is a beautiful home.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But we need diversity of housing types because number one is empty nesters. I'll classify myself in that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk my wife at some point of moving out of our larger single-family home into something smaller.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of options out there today. So this plan talks
ideally bedroom on the first floor too, right?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
you've seen my knees. Okay. So what we need to do is build different kinds of housing. So townhouses.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Some kinds of attached houses. Condominiums. I have so many people who say, I would love to buy a condominium, right, in downtown Overland Park or maybe in the future in Corporate Woods or wherever. And there's lots of legal challenges to that we're trying to work our way through. But we need to create more housing types so that our kids and grandkids and young people and empty nesters have choices to stay in the neighborhoods they love with a different kind of housing style that fits their lifestyle at that point.
Pete Mundo on 95.7 FM KCMO. Curt Skoog, the mayor of Overland Park, is here after the fireworks show out at Corporate Woods. So how do you do that, knowing that the cost for these builders keeps going up? I mean, you know, the belief is, gosh, anything under $300,000, they can barely make any money on these things. So, you know, no one likes the word incentives, but what do you do? How do you get them to that point to build these?
Well, first of all, we're seeing projects in Overland Park. They're small and not very many yet of a building like duplexes and threeplexes that look wonderful, that are, you know, in that 350 range without any kind of incentives. So we are focused on creating an environment where those can be built in the right places. This plan helps us identify those places in the community. But the state just created a new financial tool to help build smaller single-family houses. It's kind of like a tax increment financing for residential to help offset the infrastructure costs. And so we have just approved our first policy for that. We're waiting for a project to come along for us to test our policy to see if we can build it in Overland Park. But there are some tools out there to make that happen. And so, you know, as with all incentives that we do in Overland Park, it's a measure of, okay, we make up the difference between what's possible and what is financially feasible without city incentives and what can be built to fulfill the city's vision, our residents' vision, with some incentives. And when we get into incentives, it's always important because people think that the city is sitting here writing giant checks to people, and that's not how it works in Overland Park.
So when you look at that and look at these options and how this is going to play out going forward, is there a growth population-wise that you target? Is that even something that comes up in this? Or is it just if it's organic, if it's natural, if we're not losing people, then we're doing well and we're winning? Because you also want the right people, too.
Well, you know, Overland Park's story started in 1960 of the land that nobody wanted, right?
Yeah.
And so it was about 30,000 people in 1960.
Is that right?
Since 1960, we've marched south. Now we go to 206th Street on the west side of 69 Highway that are in the city limits. And so I don't think about it as population. I think about it of what is the right type of development for the city that we are today and we want to be tomorrow. When you drive down Metcalf, starting in Mission, by your old offices, and drive south, you drive through the decades. And as you go south, you see what was popular and affordable at that time in the city's history. And so I think that's what we'll continue to do, is build the kind of housing that existing and future residents of our community want, that they can afford, and that fits the needs of the greater community.
Curt Skoog is here after the fireworks display that many of you just watched live and listened to our soundtrack here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Of course, the mayor was on the stage. He's now joining us for our post show as you get back in the car and head on home from the great fireworks show. So on that note, you mentioned 69. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
project. Let's talk about what's going on
So
down
exciting.
there.
It's
I
so
feel
exciting.
like I'm, driving in NASCAR when I'm going up and down right now, but I understand these things take time. So from a city perspective, how are you dealing with it? What do you want to make sure people know about the project?
Well, first of all, we're a little more than halfway through.
Is that right? Is it almost half? Okay,
yeah.
good.
And
good.
the other thing that's hard to understand, because Kansas hasn't done this forever, is they are replacing all of 69, right, from 100. There's some bridges over 435 that are staying, but 103rd all the way down to 151st Street. It's all new bridges, all new intersections. I mean, it's all new. And so that creates a lot of inconvenience. And boy, I hear it from the residents of Overland Park. They say this is a real pain, right? I used to go take this street to get across 69 to go under, and it's closed right now, or it's limited, and I have to, it takes a lot more time. And I understand, and I hear that, and I feel for that. I think the thing that I hear right after that is, boy, they're moving fast. They are making changes and improvements, and you can see it almost day to day. And so people, most people that I've talked with are very comfortable saying, hey, I'm willing to put up with the short-term inconvenience when I see that the project is moving fast and forward. The city of Overland Park has only been trying to get this done for 30 years.
Wow.
And we're
It's been that long,
excited
huh?
that it's happening. We're going to have one of the safest highways in the state of Kansas after having one of the least safe highways in the state.
Was it one of the least safe? It was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially the Blue Valley Parkway merge onto 69, came in on the left side when you're going south.
Yes.
That's getting fixed. The 135th Street, right, was designed, that interchange was designed when 135th Street was a third of what the volume it is today. And so there won't be the backups.
Yeah, you'll sit there for a while trying to turn left there, right?
Right. So all of that is getting addressed.
Okay.
Really to support our existing residents and our future growth.
So what's the timeline on wrapping that up?
If I remember right, I don't have my notes in front
that's
of
all
me,
right.
but I think it's 2026.
Okay.
Early in 2026.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So when you look at your time as mayor, which has it been, what, 3 years now?
Almost 3. Yeah.
Gosh, that went fast. I don't know if it went fast for you. It went fast on my end, at least.
It did.
So what are you looking at when you say, all right, we've done this the last 3 years, but I really also, there are things that we haven't quite gotten to that we really need to start maybe focusing more on or just have a little more attention to? Is there something on your list that you think about or things that you think about?
Sure. I mean, I hate to keep going back to this comprehensive plan framework OP, but we had not updated our comprehensive plan citywide since the 1990s. And so it was an opportunity to bring the public in. This was all driven by residents of Overland Park. What are your priorities? And now we have a list of to-dos to implement. And we're getting ready to do that, right? That includes updating our bike trails, our bike plan. We're in the middle of updating our park master plan called Playbook OP. That's Playbook OP. You can go find it on the internet. So we're implementing these plans to continue to maintain and improve the quality of life across the city. It's exciting to see. And then last night, which I think is one of the most exciting things that we've been working on for 7 years, is we're moving forward with updating the farmers market in downtown Overland.
Is that right? Okay. Yeah. I know a lot of people love that.
Yeah, it was last year ranked the #1 farmers market in the country, and we've outgrown it. We're in a structure was built in the 1990s. If you've been there, and I hope everybody who's listening has been there sometime in the last year or two, it's just an old paved parking lot that's on a hill. And so if you're pushing a stroller or in a wheelchair, you really notice the grade that going up and down that creates challenges. So what we're doing and we're moving forward towards is creating really a gathering place in downtown Overland Park where the major tenant is the farmers market. And it'll have be designed around serving the farmers and the vendors with some indoor-outdoor space, But really, it's a gathering place for the community. So the World Cup is coming. Are you a football soccer fan?
A lot of our staff is. I'm not, but listen, it's one of those things where it's so big you can't not get into it.
I think
That's
that
my attitude.
it's hard to imagine how big the World Cup's going to be.
I admit I don't even really understand how big this could be for Kansas City as a region.
Right. So they describe it as having 16 Super Bowls at the same time over the course of a month and a half.
Wow.
I mean, so we hope that our plan is to get this done in time for the World Cup, so this can be a viewing place and a gathering place for the World Cup, for residents of Overland Park and our neighboring communities to gather and be a part of the World Cup celebration moving forward. And you may have noticed that we were announced our Sheraton Overland Park Hotel was partnered with the sporting practice facility as one of the base camps. So this is a lot to comprehend. So these teams will come over to the United States for a month and a half, 2 months or more to practice and get ready for the World Cup, right? And they will stay in that place, their base camp, and they will travel around Canada, Mexico, and the United States to where their matches are. And then they'll come back, and this will be their home base, way to think about it. And we're hopeful that we're going to get one of the big countries like Germany or Brazil or one of the large, and they'll bring their fans will come and stay here for a month.
That's amazing.
It's going to be so energizing and so exciting for our city to be part of that. And so we're very focused on that. And this farmers market is we're anticipating will be one of the anchor sites for the community. Some visitors we hope will join as well, but really it's really for the community to come together and enjoy the World Cup and other events, Super Bowls and other community events, and gather in one place and enjoy ourselves and our community.
Curt Skoog is here, the mayor of Overland Park. Of course, we are wrapping up and spending the final few minutes with him after the fireworks display here at Corporate Woods, where we at KCMO Talk Radio are tenants as well, and we aired it earlier this evening. So what about just take me through, listen, I know as mayor of any city, you're going to hear about taxes, right? Especially with the price of homes going up, valuations going up. What can you say to Overland Park residents who understandably have these concerns? The price of everyone's life has gone up significantly the last few years. Why should they feel at ease knowing the money or more of their money is in the hands of, in the case of you, Overland Park, Kansas?
Sure. Well, first of all, I always like to let people know that we have the lowest property tax rate in the state of Kansas and in the Kansas City metropolitan area, right? So we are about 13% of your property tax bill if you live in Overland Park. So we are half of Lenexa and almost half of Leawood.
On a mill basis?
On a mill basis, which is a real dollar basis, right? So if you take the value of your house and you move it to Lenexa, your city tax part of your bill will be twice what it is in Overland Park, right? So mills, yes, but it's real dollars as well, right? From our founding, Overland Park has been focused on building a dynamic community that that supports business, right? Commercial property, their appraisal and applied taxes is twice that of a single-family house, right? So that's why Overland Park, we have focused on building a College Boulevard, right? A corridor of commercial property that helps offset the property taxes that residents would be paying if we did not have the commercial properties we have. So that's first of all where we are on the mill levy part. So what we've done in the last 2 years, 3 years really, is the increment that the city received from increased appraisals, right? We have been focused on the priorities our residents tell us about. Number one is safety, right? So we have added police officers. We have created an OPCAT, which is a special unit within the police department that helps with mental health calls. Over half of our police calls are mental health related.
Wow.
So we have in-house expertise that helps with that. And then the other part, then we've also had to increase police officer pay in recent years to make sure we could keep to attract them. The other place where we have spent it is where residents say is residential streets. That we want to continue to move away from chip seal as our method of extending the life of our asphalt streets. And so we, with what we've done the last few years, and the OP moves, which is the sales tax that the community approved last year, is we've reduced chip seal by 18%, which what that means is we're doing more mill and overlay.
Mm-hmm.
People don't need to understand the terms, but what that means, the end product in mill overlay looks like a brand new asphalt street, right?
More expensive,
asphalt.
but much smoother.
Right, yeah, 3 times the cost.
Is it 3 times?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's part of our maintenance cycle.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get back to our maintenance cycle. Asphalt streets, we're in your neighborhood every 7 to 8 years doing something to maintain those streets. And so we're increasing the number of mill and overlay. We hope to do more as we have money available in the future.
Wow. I know you're also looking for a new police chief, right? Can
we
you
are.
update residents on where that process stands?
Right. So if you haven't seen, we've been accepting people's comments online of what they think Overland Park should be looking forward for in their next police chief. And we're doing a national search for that position. You know, what we're hearing is, we want a police chief that is visible. We want a police chief that understands the community that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And they want a police chief that makes sure that our police force is moving forward. You know, the science of policing evolves.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We need a police chief that understands that and can help lead us forward into the future and understand that Overland Park is no longer, a city of 30 or 40,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're 200,000 people now, and we're long and skinny, and we want to make sure that our police chief can help work with the community to make sure that everybody feels safe. If you're visiting here, if you live here, if you work here, we want to make sure that you feel safe.
It's different, too, because it's growing and it's diverse, but you're not dealing with, KCMO problems either. You still want kind of that community feel in a city that is 200,000 people. And that takes a unique person, I think, for that job with a unique background.
That's why I'm really excited about this search, that we are going to get a candidate and a new police chief that will help us lead into the future.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I ran on and what I believe in is Overland Park needs to continue to move forward. It's what we've done since 1960, and we'll continue to move forward, meeting the needs of our residents today and tomorrow. And that's what we're focused on in Overland Park. And we just got ranked the 2nd best place to raise a family by the New York Times. I mean, so we're succeeding.
Yeah.
And we have incredible neighborhoods. We have incredible residents. We have incredible businesses in this city, and we have incredible schools. And we need to continue to work together to move the community forward so we can maintain that success.
In the last couple of minutes, when you get those rankings, I know it's a great source of pride, as it should be for leadership and for the community at large. Do you get more people reaching out? Do you get businesses seeing those lists and saying, well, maybe we need to start looking? I mean, it's been on the list for a while. It's not new that Overland Park's a great place to live. They've been on these lists for years. But do you notice an uptick in business interest and things like that when these come out? You know,
it's interesting. Since COVID, we're coming out of COVID, it's interesting the conversations we're having.
Mm-hmm.
Right, companies are looking for lifestyle for the executives, and they're looking to be able to attract talented people. And here in Overland Park, we provide both of those things, right? And we continue to build our community to attract them, right? So executives can come here and have the lifestyle that they want without traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without all of the obstacles of big cities that may occur. You can afford, no matter if you're the CEO or I guess we don't have in the mailroom anymore, right? You can afford to
Yes.
live in the Kansas City metropolitan area. And we have all types of lifestyles in the area, right?
Yes.
There's Overland Park, right? There's the Missouri side, there's
Mhm.
Lenexa, there's rural living, if that's what you're looking for. That's all available to the workforce and the executives. And we are getting having some really exciting conversations about companies that are interested in relocating here for talent, for lifestyle, for amenities, and quality of life.
Well, that is a great tease, and that is a great place to end it. So we'll have to have a future conversation on when these companies announce they're coming to Overland Park here. How's that sound?
I'm all for it.
Great.
I'm for it.
Good deal. Well, Mayor Curt Skoog, he was obviously on that stage tonight prior to the fireworks happening here at Corporate Woods. I'm Pete Mundo, morning host on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And Mr. Mayor, thank you as always for being here, and thanks for putting on a great show tonight.
Well, but again, thank you to everybody who came out for the show, and those of you who are parked all over this part of the city to watch the fireworks. I love community gatherings. This was another great opportunity for us as a community to come together.
He's Curt Skoog. I am Pete Mundo on 95.7 FM KCMO. Thanks for being here. I'm back with you tomorrow, Friday morning, 6 to 10 a.m. Set that preset on your radio dial, and we'll talk to you then. Happy Independence Day.